Welcome to the Creating Clarity podcast, where we talk about clearing the fog, shifting our focus, and uncovering opportunities that are hidden right in front of us. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Aguirre. Before I begin, I must emphasize that this work is separate from my professional medical work and does not represent medical advice or opinions of any specific organization. Welcome back to the Creating Clarity podcast. I have some bittersweet news for you. Season 1 of the podcast has come to an end. Don't worry, the podcast isn't ending, just season 1. In fact, I'm already hard at work designing the second season, and I'm so excited about it. The whole goal of the podcast is really to create clarity in your life so that you can see the opportunities that you have right now that sometimes are hard to see. We just don't see them sometimes. In this podcast, I offer my experience as a way to help you shift how you see things. With that said, I don't have all the answers. Who does, right? For that reason, I'll be changing things up a bit for season 2 of the podcast. You'll continue to hear from me, but I've already lined up some amazing guests who are going to bring their expertise right here to you and help us gain some more clarity. It's going to be awesome. So, what's in store for season 2? Well, obviously, I can't tell you everything right now. I'm still putting things together, but I can tell you that I'm going to be working on something big. I'm going to be starting a new movement, and we're going to do it together. We're starting the MeFirst movement. It's time to change how we've always done things, and it's time to stop putting ourselves last. We're going to stop feeling guilty about taking time out to ourselves, and we're going to bump ourselves up to the number 1 position. I want to help you feel empowered to put yourself first, and I also want you to know what you need to know to make it happen. We sometimes get stuck not knowing how we're going to achieve something, and because of that, sometimes we don't even try. The MeFirst movement is all about prioritizing ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves. There are so many times that we do things that we don't even want to do, but we do it anyway because we don't feel like we can say no. We feel like we can't put ourselves first, and that is really so far from the truth. In fact, true success really does come when we learn to prioritize ourselves. Now, you might be wondering why I think that, so let me briefly explain. When I decided to leave my first job, it was because I was literally and utterly exhausted. I had a huge number of patients on my census every single day. I was working long hours, getting very little sleep, and I had newborn twins at home. I felt like I had nothing left to give. I had less patience. I was more short-tempered. I snapped at people. I didn't want to be around my friends. And anytime I had any free time, I just wanted to sleep. During that time, I probably wasn't the best wife. I know I wasn't the best daughter. I certainly wasn't the best doctor. And I definitely wasn't the best friend a person could have. But at that time, I didn't see a way out. I felt like my only choice was either to keep working the crazy hours or to find a new job. That was flawed thinking. There was an in between, but I didn't see it. I probably did have other options, but I was too sleep deprived to see clearly, to think clearly, and to even entertain what those options might be. I also wasn't eating good foods. I was just putting junk food in my body, so I felt sluggish all the time. I wasn't drinking enough water, so my mental acuity probably wasn't as sharp either. All of this led to feelings of overwhelm, but those were the only thoughts my mind was offering me. My mind would say, how can you sleep if you haven't even spent time with your kids? Or you can't take a lunch break. You'll get home even later. What I didn't see was that if I had slept, the time I did spend with my kids would have been much better quality, even if it was a lot less. If I had taken that lunch break, I would have felt more energized and recharged, and maybe I would have finished my work a lot more quickly. That's why it's so important to say me first. And that's why we're starting this movement. I'm not saying that you always should put yourself first, it's never all or none. I'm saying that putting our health and well being first is critical because only then will we be able to excel in these other areas of our life. If I wanted to be the best doctor, the best wife, the best mom, I really did have to learn to take care of myself. And I'm a work in progress. I'm constantly figuring out how to reprioritize what I have on my plate so that I can focus on myself when I need to. So, in order to honor myself and to put myself first once again, it sometimes requires making some challenging decisions. And one of those tough decisions was the decision to take a break between season one and season two of the Creating Clarity podcast. This was a hard decision. I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to. I had to be able to honor myself and say, me first. So, what does that all mean for the podcast? Well, the plan is to launch season two the first week of July. Honestly, the break is completely necessary in order to make space for myself, but also to allow me the space I need to create the most awesome second season of this podcast. Creating space in our life is so important. I didn't understand this before, but often it's in the quiet space of my morning meditations and in the time that I take away from the constant work that I actually create some of my best content. Although I will be taking a break between seasons one and two of this podcast, I will continue to send my weekly email to those of you who are on my email list. After all, we do have to keep working on our mindset, right? And we have to keep prioritizing our well being, right? So I'll keep showing up each week via email to make sure that you're staying on track and that I'm holding you accountable. I'll continue to deliver some of the great mindset tips I use to stay focused and stay on track. I'll even share when I fall off the wagon and I'm getting back on. So, if you're not on my email list, then head over to my website, lizaguirremd.com, to sign up. You can also reach out to me if there are any questions you have for topics that you'd like to hear me discuss. And if I can, I'll even get some subject matter experts to join the podcast. Sometimes we need help working through these challenges, and I've learned firsthand that when I get through the challenge with the help of somebody else, I get through it much faster. I'll also mention that I'm still taking on a limited number of speaking projects. So if you're looking for a speaker for your next event, again, head over to my website and fill out the contact form. I truly hope that you've enjoyed season one of the Creating Clarity podcast as much as I have. I'm already looking forward to season two because it's going to be on fire. I'll see you in a few short weeks. And again, season two will launch in the first week of July. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you won't miss the next episode. And if you like this episode, please share it with a friend and give me a 5-star review so that I can reach more people. I'll see you next week.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions shared here are for information and educational purposes only. They do not serve as a medical or professional advice. They do not represent any academic, medical, or professional institution or organization. If you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a 5-star review.
Thank you.